have been even more prohibitive. You know, folks, we have the Heritage Foundation study said it was, what, $3,100 a year. And they said by 2035, the typical family of four will see its direct energy costs rise by over $1,500. So, in other words, that's purposely deceitful. In other words, they had the information and they went out there with their propaganda and told you what you wanted to hear. And it was all to suit an environmental agenda. Just like, for example, you know, no pun intended, but these farmers are basically being told in the Central Valley in California, pound sand. And it is sand. And it's dust. And it's becoming a dust bowl, some of the most fertile land that this country has. Some of the most productive farmland in the country for decades. It's literally generations of farmers getting the water they need so that they can keep their farms alive. You know, I said last night on TV, and I stand by it,
That's
it is
backyard
the equivalent of a death panel
burgers
for the farming industry if you cut off their water because you're beholden to environmental nutcases.
What is this place here, honey? Hickory? Still?
The Delta smelt, and they do the
Ah, that's
farmers
the
that are
place
feeding the
where
rest of the
Shanna
country in the
works.
world. It's, in other words, a government bureaucracy has decided a, quote, farming death panel that these farmers can't farm. So it's a death panel for farming. Oh, Hannity, you see, you're just taking it to the extreme. No, if it can happen there, why would you even doubt that it can happen elsewhere?
How will you connect the videos, honey? If you make another video and you want to connect it all, you cannot do that?
I'm well, Sean. How are you?
You might be able to. I don't know.
Obviously, you haven't.
You connect all the videos there that we made in the Philippines.
Hang on a second. Ladies and gentlemen, I am living in an alternative vanity universe. I'm not here. And I'm out of touch with reality. I'm not here in an alternate dimension or something. And let me tell you, it's called, you know what? It's called the truth dimension. It may be alien to you, but it's actually a pretty nice place to live. I see reality. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, you keep citing the Heritage Foundation. I keep going there, and I don't find anything that supports any of your claims. I go in detail. I look page after page, hours upon hours.
Is this the only mall
There's
there?
nothing to justify any of your claims. They're just not justified.
If you look at the Heritage Foundation's analysis on cake, let me finish. If you, I'm sorry, I've been there. I'm telling you, I have been there more than you. If you look at their analysis on cap and tax, on the stimulus, on the old amnesty bill, on their health care provisions, they have had exhaustive and extensive analysis.
To the contrary.
And when I quote the Heritage Foundation, I quote them verbatim.
Sean, what I do find is that they actually contest what you say. They support health care.
And you know what? There's no point in arguing with just utter stupidity. I just can't. I am telling you, well, they do support healthcare reform. They do. I support it as well. But to say that I'm taking what they're saying out of context is when I'm giving you information, folks. You know, look, there are a lot of people that
Are you knocked down,
information from
Tokloy?
every single source they
He's
can,
almost knocked down.
and they never source their material, folks. Anybody that's a regular listener to this program, you
Almost. He's already sleeping.
The Competitive Enterprise Institute. That's from Cato. That's from the Heritage Foundation. I tell you where my sources are. If it's from the New York Times, I'll tell you. If it's from the Washington Times, the Washington Post, I will tell you. If it's from some news magazine, if it's from FoxNews.com, if I found it on the Drudge Report, I tell you. I spend a great deal of time sourcing on this program where I get my information from. I think it is just respectful to do so. Now, I know for a fact that there are people that don't do that. I know that there are people that literally rip off other people and act as if it's their idea. My ego's not such that I need to tell you that take credit for stuff that I didn't do. I just don't. Now, folks, even tonight we're going to do our little countdown special of some of the extremists that are still within the Obama administration. Okay, we're gonna count it down. Did I find all of this information myself? No. Are we going to source it? Yeah. Is some of it readily available in their own words and writing? Kinda. It's mostly coming from their own mouth. Anyway, let's go back to our phones. Folks, I don't know what it is. Anyway, let's go back to our phones. We have...
What, honey?
Let's see. Susan is next.
You're laughing
in
to me,
Indiana
honey?
on the Sean Hannity
Yeah, I'm
Show.
laughing
Susan,
at you,
it's your job to get us back on track. What's going on?
Who put this in
Hi, Sean.
YouTube?
Thanks for having me on. I was just like
Roaming around.
saying things about the farmers that are having so much trouble struggling throughout the United States.
North Carolina.
I didn't know if you're aware of the
That's a
problems
good
that the
view.
pork producers were having because of the
That's a nice
media
view.
calling the H1N1 flu virus the swine flu, and it's really caused a drop in our
Louder,
in
sweetie,
our
I cannot
income.
hear.
It's been just horrible.
Yeah, they will
And,
make
it
another
doesn't look like
building
things are
there,
going to look
I
up
think.
for us for a good while yet.
Yeah,
Really?
no, I've read
think
different
so?
reports about it when there's no
They clear it off.
association, no linkage whatsoever, as I understand it.
Right, no linkage between the hog and the
Louder.
people. They use the terminology, and it's just, we're hog farmers. My husband and I, we've done this for, it's been a family farm for over 40 years, and we're forced to liquidate. We can't afford to pay expenses because we've lost so much money just in the last 6 months when all this terminology's come up and just ruined us.
Well, I got to tell you, it's, the problem is you put so much time, effort, money, resources into, in the case of hog farming, feeding people and providing, basic sustenance for people. And then something like this, can be, literally wipe you out. I mean, look, most farmers that I have known over the course of my life, and I've not known a whole lot of them, but I've known enough to know that a lot of them live crop to crop, year to year. And they try and put a little bit away during the good years to sort of just being able to survive the bad years. I mean, there are a lot of factors out of their control. I mean, they've got to worry about the rains. They've got to worry about crop yields. They've got to worry about, a whole variety of factors that kick in. Wind and rain and snow and frost, and it's tough. And the same if something like this comes up. My advice to you is I would get together, and I know you've got some type of lobbying group, and make sure that people are as aware as you're making people now that there is no linkage connection.
Yes, and I've written to Secretary of Agriculture and the National Pork Producers Association and just all the farm-related people just to, try to make them aware that, we're suffering out here and we need help. The public's got to realize that it's not, pig-related. and at this point, we're probably not going to be
Well, it is. It's now becoming a bureaucracy. I mean, do you realize this is the future, by the way, of Obamacare. You know what? Apparently, the flu virus is now expanding fairly quickly. There was an article in one of the Britain papers today that the numbers of cases reported have doubled. There's a fear that this pandemic might follow some past pandemics where it mutates and takes on different strains and et cetera, et cetera. We still haven't come up with a vaccine. We're told the vaccine is not going to be available until October.
Who's
well
knocked
into
down?
the season. It's, I guess what are we going to put masks on our
knocked down
kids and hit
You're
them with
not knocked down,
Purell if they
you.
go to school today?
The
It's
best
kind of
actress,
frightening.
sweetie.
But I thought the government was so good at protecting us. I thought we can count on them, depend on them to save us. Take it to Tara is in Elkhart, Indiana, next on the Sean Hannity Show. Now, Tara is the person, if I'm not mistaken, you asked Obama if he was going to have a beer with me, right?
Yes, I did.
You know what? I still haven't had the beer, Tara. And by the way, I had the great pleasure of meeting Tara. What a wonderful person.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for being so kind to let Dominic run the stage.
Did you like that?
He loved it.
Well, what's on your mind? It's good to hear from you.
Well, thank you for taking my call. I am calling. First of all, I'm a little worried. This week I agreed with two Democrats. First, the president with his off-the-record statement about Kanye West. And now I'm agreeing with Nancy Pelosi's statement about it's time to take action and responsibility for our words. And this is my call to action for Mrs. Pelosi. I want her to apologize publicly, as she has demanded of Joe Biden, to myself and every other American that's speaking out against the failed policies, not personally to Obama, but his failed policies, for comparing us to Nazis and calling us un-American. She is acting as if everyday Americans are riot inciting thugs, and I'm just a mom who is worried about my son's future, and my only reason for criticizing this president and this Congress are for their poor decisions. They are not leading this country in the right direction.
Well, I think that you're speaking for the rest of us, because we all feel the same way.
And it's just sad when, whether it be on Facebook or friends or whatever it may be, when you start to say, well, I'm against this policy and I don't want this health care.
Well,